Hello and welcome to Dr. Chad here with you, hoping to have yet another good show and helping to inspire you to be able to reach your life potential. You know, our health potential is directly related to our life potential, as we all know, and have seen such a drastic increase in awareness of that during this 2020. And here we are looking at changing the conversation yet another week in a row, back to building your immune system, your real natural barrier, and then literally being able to live fearlessly, understanding that you are in control of how your body reacts. You know, it's awesome that chiropractic is that profession that is trying to make the human body strong enough to be good in any environment, much less the typical environment we're dealing with today, instead of trying to change the environment to suit the weakened body. I love this slide, just open it up directly with it, because I think that it bears need reading again. You know, I think that this is just the key, that if you're not making time for your wellness, then you'll be forced to make time for your illness. And I mean, how much more can you say, right? I mean, one of the biggest things that we're moving forward, you know, we talked a little bit last week about blood work and its importance with being able to benchmark where you're at. And I think that, just like the slide says, you cannot directly change what you do not measure. So when we're measuring things about our health, you know, I had this conversation in a workshop on Tuesday night. That is that, you know, there are benchmarks, blood work, physical fitness, weight, you know, your body mass ratio, there are your waist size, there is your, you know, looking at the things that you're doing and then measuring your habits, you know, taking an analysis. A life unexamined isn't a life worth living. And, you know, I forget who that quote's from, Emerson or Thoreau or somebody. And that is that if you're not looking at what you're doing and saying, well, this is what's yielded me, the person, including like how many times you go through the drive-through every week, how many times you work out a week, how many times you eat ice cream, I don't know, whatever your habits are, then if you're not measuring them, when you change them, you won't be able to remeasure them. I think that we've all seen this massive increase in the amount of toxicities. I hope I touched base on this slide the other day, but I'm going to recap it here before we dive into completely new stuff. And that is that the inherited mutations versus the acquired mutations. You know, so many people talk about that cancer is inherited. It runs in people's families. I inherited the X whatever gene, you know, fill in the blank, BRCA gene, the whatever. Then that's one aspect of it. But like, take that breast cancer situation. Woman inherits 2 X chromosomes, and that's what starts out in the first cell and then divides to create the genome for every other cell in that human body. And the differentiation, the changes in the parts of that person is directed by the central nervous system, guiding the differentiation throughout from embryonic all the way through to the end of life. And that genome's present in each cell, and each cell is, I guess, expressing a different little bit, a variation of it, whether it's a tissue, either the kidney cell, or whether it's a liver cell, or whether it's a skin cell. It's turning on certain genes and turning off others. Well, so with that BRCA gene, very, very extremely rare that someone could end up inheriting to the tune of, let's see here, right there. At a minimum or at a maximum, 5%. At a maximum, 5% being something that someone is inheriting. So back to this slide, that you have 2 copies of that gene. And so the one that's damaged, the BRCA gene, let's theorize here, would be then recessive because it's not going to be functioning right, and the body would then be expressing that dominant gene that's working properly. And so then along comes the environment being changed, as we discussed earlier or last week, from a deficiency, a toxicity, or a loss of function. And then one of those three things changes: the environment, and maybe that same area that's being expressed in the breast tissue of a female, then it gets more damage to it. And then both copies are damaged. Now we get this expression of that gene, hence genetically passed down. And so there you go. And it's just this understanding of mild understanding of genetics illuminates really the deductive reasoning, the thought process behind why environment, why your health is even more important than your genes most of the time, 95%. So then how do we minimize that exposure? Well, you find out what you're cooking your food in. Because if you buy great food and you cook it in terrible things or store it in terrible things, then you're going to become toxic. So what's good? How about stainless steel or cast iron or Pyrex? To a lesser degree, there's probably some sustainability and including ceramics in there. And so there you go. Those are the only ones, the Teflons and the non-sticks and things like that. They're releasing chemicals called PFOAs and PFAs, and these chemicals are known carcinogens. And so we want to eliminate those. I love this slide because it illuminates the fact that, just by eating the amount of one can of soup or a meal of soup from canned goods for a week versus eating fresh homemade soup, people were seen to have a 1,221% increase in their BPA levels in their urine output. 1,221%. Then you group in the Harvard studies that showed that if you're using an Nalgene bottle or a number 7 plastic water bottle, a hard plastic water bottle, and you're doing that for a week, you're going to see a 90-something% increase in your urine output again. And so now if you're eating canned goods, out of canned goods every one canned good a day for a week, and then you're drinking out of your Nalgene bottle, I don't know what the astronomical increases of BPA, the known carcinogen removed from baby bottles, but not the inside of our aluminum cans and our, I guess, tin cans would be the proper statement there for our food that people are constantly, whether it's your tuna fish or whether it's your soup or whether it's your vegetables that you're buying canned, lined with BPA plastic unless otherwise labeled. And then we don't quite know what they're replacing that lining with. If they remove the BPA, is it BPB? Is it BPC? Just something less researched. Again, it's called food for thought. We understand that medications, because again, we're talking about cancer, and we're going to shift gears into the actual nutrition, the anti-cancer foods here in just a couple minutes. But I want to make sure that people understand it's toxicity, deficiency, or a loss of functional control that allows for a tissue or a group of cells to become off-road, so to speak, and they have enough damage to them to where they're adapting to their environment, and they have enough damage accumulated where they fall down this cancer cascade, to which then we get our disease process. Well, when the average person 65 years and older is on 13 medications, you have to lump prescription medications into the group of toxins, because most of those people who are at age 65 have been taking some of those medications for 20 plus years. We're very big in our family and in the Max Living community on Beauty Counter, which is a replacement company for cosmetics. And it's not just, come on guys, it's not just, eyeliner and makeup and things like that. We're all using cosmetic products, right? Shampoo, or at least I hope. the shampoos, the conditioners, the lotions, the things like that, deodorants, things like that all fall underneath that category. And, you know, it was till California just recently passed a law. It was like 1938 since they passed a law outlawing any chemicals that were being used in cosmetics. So on average, there's well over 1,000 chemicals a year invented. You do the math. And therefore, those can be used in cosmetics. And we know that some of them, the biggest groups are the formaldehyde releasers, that propanol, and there's certain, can't remember the clinical names of the urea compounds right offhand here, but you can look on your labels. And one of the things you could do is go to Beautycounter's website and print off their never list, the things that they never allow in their products. And it's like 1,400 different chemicals, I believe is the proper number, 1,800, sorry. It's been updated. Like the European Union, which is the next best, as 1,100 that have been banned. And so when you look at the level to which they're looking at these and making sure they're safe, non-toxic for you, and how about your kids? I mean, we got these little bitty tiny people who aren't just miniature adults. They process chemicals differently. Their blood-brain barriers are not as developed as an adult. Their immune systems aren't as developed. Their detox channels aren't as developed. And therefore, they can become toxic a lot faster. And so I think that this is something, again, Beautycounter is that group that you can look into, look up. Beautycounter representatives near you, and you'll find Megan McDill as one of those, or you can just look her up on Facebook. One of the things, again, your plastics, those are xenoestrogens, and those xenoestrogens that you're getting from plastics 3 and 7 especially, but also from 1 and 2 and 5, phthalates or parabens are some of the technical terms for those that you also see in the cosmetics and the deodorants and soaps and shampoos. Unless you're using something like Beautycounter, then those are going to be mimicking the hormones in the body. And again, so many things like colon cancer, breast, prostate, testicular, ovarian, and uterine. Sorry, they're all estrogen receptor potentially positive cancers. They're influenceable by estrogen mimicking compounds. And so again, something easy to replace with a glass or a stainless steel water bottle. I believe it was I mentioned last week, my eco bottles are about my favorite. When we start with nutrition, you have to decide, are you this person on the left, or are you the green person on the right? Which one? Which one are you? And then which one do you want to be 120 days from now? Which one do you want to be next year? Which one do you want to be 10 years down the road? And do you still believe in the myth that counting calories is an effective approach to proper nutrition? Because look, the Twinkie and the almonds are the same. Which one do you actually has more vitamins and minerals and nutrients? That one's pretty easy. I think it's more important for us to focus on what we're doing with what's in our food, because what we absorb of what we eat becomes the next generation. Some of these things, just like the EWG's 10 Americans study, or you look at the American Toxicology Project, or you look at the EPA studies, all these things point to the fact that research is showing that things like, from let's say the EWG 10 Americans study, the 10 kids where their fetal cord was cut, they took a chunk of that fetal cord blood and sent it off to the lab looking for chemicals, and on average 278 different chemicals, things like flame retardants and just so many different things that we know are cancerous. And so folks, I think that it bears that you go to Consumer Reports and look at their article on that went out, I think it was volumes ago that was about herbicides and pesticides on our fruits and vegetables. And they were talking about how these things are in such bad levels that it's stuff like even our organic spinach lately, whether it's imported or whether it's from the US, there really isn't, by their studies, any that are doing well right now with actually being low in pesticide residues. So it bears a lot of research, and I think that that's a great place to start for the most current, looking at that, because these things can pass right into our children. The nutrition is to minimize toxicity, is to focus on living food versus processed food. A whole food, plant-based, try to get to at least 70% of your food being fruits and vegetables. There's the benchmark. And when you don't want to get overwhelmed, you can start with some of the basics, which are, establish why you're doing this. And it's not just to look good at the beach this coming summer. Then, we don't even know if the beaches are going to be open this coming summer. But yet, then it's really about, why do you want to live longer? Why do you want to be healthier? Is it the extra energy you want to be able to play with your kids? Is it the extra energy that you want to be able to be a better spouse or a better Christian? Or, what is it that you're going to devote this extra life to? Why does it make sense to you? And then you're always looking for those nutrient dense options instead of just empty calories. Then we want to make sure that we're planning our meals, and then keeping a food journal really helps out. I think that if you're logging, it can be super basic, folks. We don't need to create too much more work. We just need, let's say if you're just starting out, how many times do you go through the drive-through during the week? How many times do you, if you know you need to cut carbs, how many times do you eat bread? How many times do you, and look at these things and keep these journals so that as you make changes, once again, you're measuring what those changes have yielded you. Like my patient who came in and she realized that she was diabetic and no clue, none. Zero. Went to the doctor, A1C through the roof, blood sugar through the roof, cholesterol, and everything's just off the charts. And this is between last year and this year, which is one of the reasons I suggest insulin levels in that blood work, not just your A1C, not just your fasting glucose. One tells you the last couple of months, one tells you that day, and then insulin levels tell you how hard your pancreas is working to have achieved both. And so we can really get how close are you to burnout into metabolic syndrome by measuring your insulin. Leptins are extremely helpful. Also ghrelin. So when we revolutionize our diet, though, you're one of these people who's been watching for a while. You may most likely are a patient in the office, and you're already trying to implement the 5 essentials in your life. You're making sure that you've already got your nervous system doing better by being under corrective care and then going into wellness care. And you're maintaining your home care exercises and your ergonomics to make sure that your brain is in communication with your body properly. That's already taken care of. Then you've got your, maybe you've started exercising, or you've been maximizing your mindset, or you've been detoxing already, and you're just really looking to dive into, one of the 5th essential that I haven't mentioned yet is nutrition. And so, gosh, you're really looking to, clean up those carbs, trash the toxins, and fix the fats, and perfect your proteins. And you really need to be in the understanding that if you have been in the standard American diet for a while, then you're going to have common deficiencies to which you're going to want to supplement. Supplementation is not a way of replacement. Otherwise, they'd be called replacements. They're supplements, not replacements. And they don't replace good nutrition. But with common farming practices, we're now, even if you're eating the 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, you're probably only getting 75% of what you got back in 1975. That's just what the research says. So look it up for yourself, and then you can validate your efforts even more. and dealing with the daily essentials. You know, we're talking about the omega deficiencies, the magnesium deficiencies, multi-B, multivitamin and mineral, and then vitamin D. I mean, I am now seeing more people than not who are coming in and they're measuring their blood work for the first time in a while and really taking a look at their vitamin D levels. Most of them are in the 20s. I mean, they're barely avoiding rickets. We're all indoor people now. And it's just so rampant, this vitamin D. So remember, cancer, deficiency, toxicity, loss of functional control. Your body's body parts are not adapting to their environment. Therefore, they get mutations or they start down a cascade and get damaged enough just in general to where they become cancer. You know, the next step would be, how are you going to deliver these nutrients to your body? If you're not hydrated, then it's not going to get there. Your blood viscosity is going to be really high. You're going to have more inflammation. You're going to have higher cholesterol levels. You're going to have all of these things, more of an incidence of heart attack and stroke. And so these are the things that, it's just the next step. So how do you get that for you versus your 5-year-old? ½ ounce of water per pound of body mass. Weigh 200 pounds. I drink at least 100 ounces of water a day. Work out most days of the week, so I actually try to drink a little more than that because of loss and sweat. I think that the next thing that we have to do in avoiding cancer is to really focus on perfecting the protein and fixing the fats, because of biomagnification and the accumulation of extra toxicity in the animals. Then we eat those animals, we gain more of those toxins. So ask your local person who grows their beef or their chicken about what they're feeding them, and ask them if they actually eat it. And a lot of them will say no, they know what goes in it. They grow their own chicken and beef, right? And it's separate. It's not what they're doing for the company, like, you know, Tyson or Purdue or whatever. So go ahead and make that this week's goal. Get rid of the damaged fats, perfect your proteins. How are you going to do that? You're going to get to the good oils. You're going to be only consuming healthy oils like olive oil and coconut oil and flaxseed oil as maybe a supplement to bringing in. Remember, you can't heat flaxseed oil at all, just like your MCT oils. Then coconut oil. These are the oils that you're using. Avocado oils are great high temperature. Then use, as you can see, trying to get your good protein, your good fat from wild caught fish, grass-fed beef, and your nuts and seeds. And remember that your lentils and beans are a good source of protein. Very cheap, very easy, crock-potable, and just awesome to come home to dinner that's just been slowly cooking all day. Make sure that you understand that if you're eating farm-raised fish or you're eating commercial produce, that you are going to be higher in toxins. And one of the most common toxins today is the sugar, and the fact that through granulated sugar and high fructose corn syrup, the average human being is consuming 157 pounds of sugar a year. A year. Not in their lifetime. A year. And we wonder why cancer is growing in America. It's because America is growing from the obesity, from the sugar. Sorry, that's awesome. Awesomely terrible, but it's funny. The fact is we want to reverse these disease processes by using the advanced plan. Folks, a great manual, just like, you know, the Bible is the manual for living. I think that a great manual for nutritional and for health, of taking care of the human body that we were so given, we all use the Align Your Health book from Max Living, so that we've got a chapter on functional whole body or whole food nutrition so that our bodies are minimizing toxins, we're maximizing, and this is the healthy version of keto for so many people who are out there doing it dirty and just really toxically accumulating high cholesterol levels and all kinds of terrible stuff. So that's where you would go. You can come by the office, pick up your copy, or go online. Align Your Health, Appendix B for the Advanced Plan. Because most people don't have any cancer-fighting foods, and you can look at that list and say, have I been eating many of those? Is that what's normally been in my diet for the last 7 years? If it's not, especially if you're looking at that list and you think, I don't even know what some of that stuff is, you know that you're far off from the mark. And it's time, if you want to be the person who breaks the generational curse of this runs in my family, well, then you've got to do something different than the other people. And it means that eating more of that stuff will give you the things like diindolylmethane and sulforaphane and the many different things that come from eating the cruciferous vegetable family, the benefits of anti-inflammation from curcumin that help reduce the amount of leaky gut that so many people are experiencing from their toxic accumulation, from their medications, destroying the lining of their gut. So do you fall into the category of ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, irritable bowel, all of these things, right? If that's you, then you're getting more toxins into your bloodstream. And I just really think that so many people don't eat enough probiotics. They're not, again, do you even know what kimchi is or kombucha and kefir? And if not, you definitely want to familiarize yourself to reseed the garden that we consider the intestinal tract with good, healthy bacteria so that, again, you're building your immune system. Well, folks, we're out of time. I just want to continue to really impress upon you how much you have in your control to maximize your health potential, maximize your life potential. We'll see you back here next week on Health, a Second Opinion.